Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Ads Live, where we critique the ads that we've seen on our social media feeds this week, whether they're good or bad, and what we would also change. We are joined by Jessica again this week, and also Nick. Nick is part of the team, and Alex will tell you a bit more about him as well.
Yes, yeah. So Nick was our first ever employee who. It must be a year and a half ago. So it was June 2017. We were in a co-working space downstairs, and I heard rumours of some guy coming round saying that he was looking for some volunteer work, and that you got. I don't think you knew your result then, but I knew you were doing computing. So any advice for anyone that's looking for work could go around a business centre and offer volunteering. We didn't make you volunteer, did we, Nick?
No.
We had an interview. I was like, if we want a guy, we're going to offer a job. And then we did. And Nick's here. So Nick's our web developer. So he much prefers his head stuck in code than being live on video, I presume. But yeah, we've all got one ad each, and we welcome back Tom as well. Right, I think Tom was starting with it.
Yeah, Tom's going first, so if you're ready, Tom.
Yeah, ready when you are.
Okay, so we'll jump your ad up, mate.
Cool.
And cover your face.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, brilliant.
It's the first time we're using some new software.
Yeah, cool. So this was one that came up in my Facebook feed a while ago, and it is actually one that I've purchased from. I know we've had a couple on the show so far where we've actually made a purchase from something we've done on Talking Ads. So yeah, this one, I was already aware of Harry's. It's one of these kind of like subscription shaver things. You seem to be able to get everything on subscription nowadays. So yeah, it's a subscription shaver ad. I was already familiar with the brand. But I quite liked it because I haven't really seen it, and I wouldn't really do it if it was down to me. But how they've almost like broken it down into almost like steps as blatant as 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, I don't know. It just sort of worked. It did actually strike me. And actually, then in terms of going through, it was actually quite interesting. The actual journey the user journey. In terms of then going through, it didn't actually take you to like a standard landing page, where you'd sort of expect, in terms of them to try and capture your details straight off and put you in a funnel or whatever. It was actually like a content piece about sort of like how the company came about and why they sort of do what they do, a bit of like a start with why kind of thing. And the call to action isn't actually until the very bottom. But it was weird. So I sort of like started reading the first bit of it and then actually sort of like just thought, yeah, okay, I want it. Flew through to the bottom, went through, got my trial pack. And I've had it come through in the mail. But I thought the ad was pretty good. But I don't know if I liked it because I was actually more familiar with the brand than it coming off me cold, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. In terms of I knew more about it, I knew what it was. But yeah, in terms of in terms of seeing the ad to going through and actually placing an order was pretty quick.
Cool. And is it like the Dollar Shave Club? Is it a subscription thing?
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of that one, I actually remember seeing them first because obviously we obviously spend a lot of time looking at ads. I'd actually originally seen them or come across them in like the native content, like Taboola kind of stuff. Obviously I didn't convert there, but in terms of it showed it was quite good for sort of like an awareness point of view. In terms of I saw them there, I may have clicked on the odd link or whatever, and that's maybe if they've got me in like a longer remarketing sort of funnel. I don't know. But yeah, it's essentially a subscription shave service, but I was more familiar with them than I was with Dollar Shave Club. Yeah. But yeah, so in terms of it was, I don't know if I would have gone through if I hadn't have had bought through if I hadn't have been aware of them before. So I think it does sort of show that even though in terms of what's obviously all your advertising, you want the ROI, you want to spend on it, but it's not to sort of suggest that any advertising you do is actually, it promotes obviously in terms of the value of having a longer term content plan with it, if you know what I mean. In terms of what you do with the remarketing if you don't get people on the first bite.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, well, when we were doing kind of rehearsals for the show, I remember Nick brought an ad in and you didn't like it just because you didn't like the brand. And I was like really shocked because throughout my career I've created brands. Like there are some companies that create other brands just so they can advertise twice, if that makes sense, because they've got the budget to. But yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. I think branding is huge, and it's obviously worked on you. rather than, because we pretty much every client we have wants to sell straight away. I think it was John Sinclair who came on a few weeks ago that was kind of saying that same thing, that don't have to just sell and have a hardcore call to action just to sell new products.
Yeah. I think with that, I mean, if I saw that, there was loads of text, obviously, in the caption bit. And I think I don't necessarily like that as much.
Yeah, well, Jess, we've been looking at that this week, haven't we?
Yeah.
We had a massive difference in a cost per lead on the same ad, and it was literally, because one thing I noticed, the text was all bunched up, and there was like massive amount, and you've been testing some stuff this week with like almost one-liners, and they just seem to be going much better. So I wonder if with that ad, if we bring it up just so if anyone's missed it, that there is a lot of text there. Although you like that sort of bullet point type 1, 2, 3, 4, even just some spaces between each one, it just feels like a lot of text, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, that's sort of almost like the point with it in a way. It's not actually a great ad, I don't think. Whilst I like elements of it, I don't think it's, I feel like there may be bits of it that could be done better. But it's almost like that pre-branding thing that's actually probably pushed me through to the sale, despite the ad not being incredible.
Awesome. Cool.
So you're up next, Alex. Do you want
Yes, yeah. So just saying that we've got a few people on my personal Facebook live. Guys, if you find us our company page, The Lead Engine, you'll be able to get to see the actual ads and Jessica, who's off screen, and Tom as well. So it's kind of a bit weird on that one. So come and join us on The Lead Engine, the company Facebook page. But yeah, so I'm next. Okay, so yeah, this one I just found it quite intriguing the way it does elements of what like SEMrush does, but it's just the way they kind of said. Sorry, Nick, I'm going to cover you up, mate. Just the way they've said spy on any website's analytics, which you can do with SEMrush and you can do with lots of other stuff, but it felt different just because of that one-liner. So it was kind of, I just found it interesting the way they differentiated with that. I mean, to be honest, I haven't looked too much at the graphic or the text. It was literally that headline intrigued me quite a lot.
It's like, in a good way, did you mean? Or
yeah, no, in a good way, yeah, because I think people get excited with digital marketing tools that, spying on my competitors, that is like, that's playing on some kind of trigger, or they're leveraging that. People do get excited by that, whereas SEMrush kind of sell it in a much different way, that they don't use that kind of term.
Right.
It's kind of, I think it was the word spy that kind of got me.
I think if I was a company that saw that, I'd be like, oh, because it's a bit kind of encrypted, like, spying. Like, is it kind of something you're meant to be doing? It kind of, I don't know. But then I do like it because I think it makes it a bit more interesting.
Because people want to spy.
People want to, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Tommy, you use SEMrush a lot. What have you seen that ad before?
No, never. But yeah, I'm the same as you. I do quite like it, and I think, yeah, as you said, the word spy is quite big, and it does sort of like tap into something psychologically that makes you think, yeah, I do want to do that, rather than just, even if you use something else like review or see or something like that. Spy gives it like a little like extra edge.
Yeah.
But it's interesting on the make of the ad in terms of the image itself. I don't even flick it back on whilst I'm there, but yeah, it almost looked like, I found it sort of quite interesting with it being on Instagram in terms of, it almost looks like there's a button underneath, almost like the headline and that second line of copy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting on that too. So it's whether it's almost like one from, well, even then, in terms of, you won't really have a button like that on Facebook really, that sort of pulled through. So in terms of the design of the ad's quite interesting from that sort of point of view. I say I can't actually read the text, but it does look like that orange square in the middle should be a button, which is
along the lines of sign up now. I think it was a call to action on there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it's just interesting. They've almost used the button graphic when there obviously isn't actually a button there in terms of the functionality of Instagram and Facebook for that matter.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know if Facebook will link through or not, but I know certainly Instagram. But yeah, I think a couple of points of, I think we say it pretty much every week, but having a different strategy for Instagram than Facebook, because they work in completely different ways. Although Facebook tell you to just plaster it out everywhere, And I had another point as well, which I've forgotten.
I think when I was looking back on last week's one, there was I think you mentioned that you can untick a box when you
Yes,
go
yeah,
on
absolutely.
Facebook. Is that
So yeah, we would normally, if we need to use Instagram, we would have a different ad set and different ads for that same audience but different placement. We call it placement essentially. So literally, you can tick a box or untick it because by default it wants to send it everywhere. And we just get better results in Facebook newsfeed or sometimes the marketplace feed as well. So that's where we start, and then if we need extra, then we'll try Instagram, but we will try different ads for it because, as shown there, that might not work. So remember my other point. when people say, "Oh, we've tried Facebook ads, they don't work," and you can see there from this example that if that had a different headline, that would work differently. It would have different results if you just said "see other websites analytics," because of that word, it kind of drives a kind of an emotive response. That spy on, I 100% guarantee that if you did a split test between spy on any website and see any, you'd see different click-through rate and different results.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a real bugbear of mine when people say we tried Facebook and it didn't work, but they only tried one ad.
How many would you recommend? That variation.
It depends really on your budget. I mean, how many were you doing? Morning, and that felt like quite basic, but it was still like 12 at least, wasn't it?
Yeah, I did 3, I think.
Yeah. So we did. So sometimes we'll do 3 text variations, and they might have different. So those 3 texts may have different headlines. So if they've got 2 different headlines, that's 6. And then if those all have different image or video, you're kind of multiplying that. So you're testing every element of it. So there isn't a number.
No.
If you're only spending £5 a day, I don't recommend testing 20 ads because it'll take you a year to find out which one's better. So, I don't know, Tom. What would you say on? Can you add anything to that? Do you think in terms of?
Yeah, I mean, we've always it's one thing in terms of how many variations, but it's also keeping track of what your variations are, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of going through trying long form ads, short form ads. Okay, what different sort of like value propositions are you putting forward? So then actually in terms of, so rather than just almost, having a bit of a scattergun approach of different things, actually thinking about what it is you're testing. And then actually making sure you actually do go through and monitor it. It's one thing being actually quite easy to put a load of ads out and go and see, and then you can obviously see in Facebook platforms or whatever which ones are working and which ones aren't. But in terms of how often do we actually sort of go, or should you go back and actually say, okay, so this is working because, or actually going through and actually reviewing what types of ads over all your campaigns, over the number of clients that work over others.
Absolutely. And what we do as well as standard is we use HubSpot CRM. And then we can pull in that information into the lead. So when the lead comes through, our client knows the source, whether it be Facebook or LinkedIn or Google, the campaign, the ad set, and the ad as well. So when we get them through, we know exactly which ad when the lead has come through. Because obviously we want our clients not just get cheap leads, but sales as well. So they can report back and say, ad text 1 with video 2. Headline 3 seems to be bringing through a load of sales for some reason, and that would make sense to keep that running, even though it may be a more expensive lead than the others, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's great to test them all, and like Tom said, know what you're testing and be able to not just get cheap leads, but you want cheap sales, but obviously more profit.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So I think we've still got people on the live over here, guys. If you come over to the Lead Engine company page, you'll be able to see the ads and Tom and Jessica as well.
Cool. And Nick, we'll go with ad if you're ready.
Yes, I was scrolling through my Instagram feed. I found this ad by Ariel promoting their 3-in-1 pods. I like the ad because it's just the simplicity of it. The video teaches me how to use a product. I can remember just before using the product, I put my laundry into the washing machine and then read the instructions, and it said, you need to put the pod into the washing machine before putting the clothes in. So I had to take all my clothes back out.
Brilliant.
So I would say that This advert would have been beneficial to me at first.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I see it as like a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, but actually, if you are a bachelor and you've just moved into your new home, then yeah, no, definitely, I love that. I think that's great because I thought the ad was like really fun and like they were having a bit of a laugh, but yeah, genuinely, you forget. Because once you know it and you've done it a million times, you forget that actually. And then pods are, if you've never used them before, yeah, I suppose. But, yeah.
And again, people learn in different ways, such as kinesthetic, oral, visual, writing.
No, absolutely.
This brings in the visual.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that they're probably more complex skills than. You're absolutely right. Did you see it, Tom? Have you?
Yeah, no, I'd look. Yeah, for one thing, I'm actually very impressed with the targeting of it. To be able to sort of target Nick as someone who has failed at successfully putting his pod in with his washing. I think they've done pretty well because I'm not sure how you actually sort of put a targeting parameters on somebody for washing up tablets. They're so broad. But so bravo to Ariel on that one.
Well, I think you could do people moving home, and then maybe if you did a certain age of like under 20, 24 or whatever, just moved a house or just bought a house, you could potentially target people for that reason. But yeah, it's good. Obviously, good fun branding ad, isn't it? And we've said many times about video. Was it video or was it GIF?
It was a.
I'm pretty sure it's a video. Yeah. That you obviously get a lot more reach with it as well. So there's loads of good reasons for that. Cool. I don't think we need to tell them again, do we?
Yeah. Sure. So this one I saw. I didn't really like it as soon as I saw it because I'm not a fan of Post Malone. So I feel like this is such a wasted ad because I don't even like him. So why would they target me for something that I don't like? I'm really not a fan of him at all. So I just feel like it was a complete waste on their behalf.
Yeah, really. No, absolutely. Because especially,
it's like Post Malone. He's got all this like new merch out, and it's got his face plastered on everything. And I mean, it's just not for me really. So
have you? Because with I presume he's big enough to have an interest target on Facebook. Have you been interacting with anything news-wise that? Have you liked anything or maybe clicked on a link of anything that included him on Facebook or been on anything related to him? Because they can, obviously, you might then be caught in that net.
I don't think I have. No. So I'm a bit, if anything, I really don't like him. So
is there a dislike type thing?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've been like ripping him on Facebook.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm actually a troll. Then if they've just done it by age and because you like music,
probably,
which is quite broad, then that is a bit rubbish.
Yeah. I feel like our age is kind of his kind of like niche area. I'm not like anyone would listen to him, obviously, but very. But I feel like he's very kind of like
I have people on my Facebook who listen to him, but
I don't think that would be.
No, it was I think his haircut made the news recently.
Oh,
his haircut. Is that what it was?
Maybe it's because I googled Post Malone new haircut.
Because I think we were talking about it once.
Yes,
and I think because he's had his haircut because he had really long hair and it's kind of a big thing.
Yeah.
And then
that was it.
Did you just Google it then?
Just Googled it and Google image search.
Okay, I think you would have to for Facebook to get that. I don't think they can sort of hook into Google's thing. But if you went on the site or something and they had the Facebook pixel, then it would work.
I don't think I have.
But, unless Google and Facebook have got a little deal going on.
I don't know, maybe I have.
Yeah,
maybe
I have.
Does your friends like the Facebook page?
Yeah, I've got a few people on there who are like completely obsessed with him, but I'm not sure.
And then I suppose if they're putting stuff out and you've liked it or commented on and saying, oh, he's rubbish or whatever, then that might include you in the interest of him. So then maybe they have just chosen Post Malone interest and you've just somehow been caught in that net. But then if they're it's so cheap on Facebook to get in front of 1,000 people that even if there are the odd few that aren't interested, there should be enough that are for him to. If you keep seeing it, I always think if I keep seeing it, then I know that they're making money because they wouldn't keep running it without making, especially when it's e-coms like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll go with my last one. So this is something I saw on YouTube in the corner, the top right hand corner. And I just actually laugh when I saw it. I just think like it's awful. Like it's kind of, I mean, you can see how there's loads of spelling errors. Immediately you can see like genuine. It's spelled wrong.
Oh my god, I didn't even know. Obviously.
And so it is so Kofi or Sokofi, but is that going to say so comfy?
Right.
I don't know.
Based on the genuine not being spelled correctly.
Yeah, and also like. I just really didn't understand. I mean, would that cost much money had it to be in the right hand?
For like display, not really.
No,
not
I mean,
really.
I just thought if they'd spent the money on that would have been atrocious. Like, I just.
Well, they are spending money, but it just depends how. Yeah, I mean, there's no like sort of button or just says 50% off. It's not. There's no sort of call to action. There's like just this shoe, which
is a little bit.
Yeah.
It's garish. But yeah, no, I didn't. There was no kind of like shop it here, like look at the website here. Like I didn't click on it, but it's one of those things I don't think I would have ever clicked on it because I really thought it would give me some sort of like virus. It looks so no, like it doesn't look very legitimate. So I was like, I don't want to like click on it. And if that's an ad, like they need to, I don't know.
Have a chat with whoever's designed it. Tom, is it your float your boat? That shoe? Would you?
Don't know if I do it my size. But yeah, well, we've talked about it before. I think with some like in terms of like e-coms clothing stuff. In terms of if you're targeting with like one product, it's surely such a massive like shot in the dark. Of whether obviously the user's gonna like that specific item of clothing or not. It makes more sense to me to run sort of like social ads with carousels, so at least you've got like more of a display of products. But putting one thing out there, especially sort of like as garish and as sort of as that. But I suppose maybe you do have to put garish things out there to sort of catch the attention. Yeah. It's an interesting choice, that's for sure.
I just thought it looked really out of place. I think that's what kind of like in the kind of world of ads that we're living in at the minute are all very, whether it's good or bad, they're all very technical and they're all kind of, a lot of effort is put into them. And I think when you get one like that, it's very obvious when it's not good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'll see if I see it again and I'll let you all know.
You'll bring it in like next week. Yeah.
Cool. Is that everything?
That is everything, yeah. I think I was at a conference at the weekend called the Upreneur Summit, and I managed to accost a number of the speakers. They've said, when we were there, they said they'd come on. But since then, so we've got Andrew and Pete, who were amazing. We haven't confirmed a date yet, but check them out on Instagram. They are hilarious. They're like a content marketing duo. I see them as the sort of Ant and Dec of content marketing. Not because one of them's gone off the rails or anything, but because they're from Newcastle, and there's two of them. And one was always on the left and one was always on the right. And then we've got a guy called Greg Hickman, who he was a keynote speaker on the second day. He's definitely agreed in about sort of 2-3 weeks' time. And then we've got Antonio, I can't pronounce his surname, but he's got 2 million YouTube subscribers, and he does Real Men, Real Style, if you check him out on YouTube. And also Luria Petruzzi, I can't pronounce her name either, but she teaches people how to go live, so we're going to have to make sure we are good at being live before we get her on. So loads of amazing guests coming up, and loads of the delegates that I met as well. I met so many amazing people, so we're going to have some really interesting guests coming up soon.
Cool.